Okay, so as the PowerPoint slide shows, there are other plays that have taken their lead from A Raisin in the Sun. And I've already mentioned August Wilson as taking some of his writing leads from Lorraine Hansberry. Nevertheless, this play, Clybourne Park, is particularly significant. It takes a particular role in early 21st century American theater. It was written and produced in 2011. It won the Pulitzer Prize that year for drama and other awards. So the play immediately takes a classic place in early 21st century American theater. Of significance is the fact that its writer, Bruce Norris, is a white American man. He's not black. That shouldn't matter in and of itself. But as you see when you watch the play, some of the ways that race is discussed in this play uh, make Norris's identity somewhat significant and of interest. So the play is set in two halves. The first half of the play is set at the same time as A Raisin in the Sun. You are now in the home of Bev and Russ, who are the owners of the house that the Youngers have purchased in Clybourne Park. So during the first half of the play, Clybourne Park, you get to see the other side of this racial divide in America. That is the white neighborhood in Clybourne Park, in this home into which the black family, the Youngers, will move. Carl Linder, of course, is a member of that neighborhood, and we know that Carl Linder is resisting the move. So we're now going to hear in Clybourne Park, in the first act, the other perspective and the other side of the people impacted by this move. Let's not make this a simple black white issue, though, because pay very attention to the kind of deeply American issues that Bev and Russ are going through. What are their gender dynamics? What does it mean for them to be a married couple in 1959? What are the arguments that they have? What are their pains? What has happened in their house? So that's the first act. We scoot ahead in the second act to present day, let's say 2011, if that's when the play was first staged. We're now in the same house, which has gone through some economic downturn that neighborhood has. In the 1980s, we hear about graffiti in the buildings. So this neighborhood has gone through a decline and now is rebounding with sort of gentrification. And we see a circle of couples, young families who are moving into the neighborhood. And they're having a discussion about building codes and what they can and can't do to refurbish this house. So, on the one hand, we've got the one scene on the first half, and then we go to the second half, jumping ahead to present day. What kinds of arguments still ensue? Where are we in terms of race? And so on and so forth. What's really interesting to me, and I argue this in the book, is that the play has what I would call an aesthetic of conflict, an aesthetic of debate. That I list a number of plays in my last chapter of Aristotle and Black drama that argue that where we are, that show, I think, where we are is in a place of what I call, what another scholar has called, I'm borrowing it from a man named Martin Puchner, the drama of ideas. That is, this play has no resolution. It ends with questions for us, and they're very provocative. And so the kinds of racial epithets, the kind of dialogue about race with which this play leaves us can be very disruptive. This is very different from what I call in the book the theater of civil disobedience, the theater of civil disobedience. That is, when Lorraine Hansberry puts this full cast of black characters on stage, it's one thing to have conflict on stage. It's one thing to have the dramatic tension of these black bodies on stage. But the play resolves well. It has what Aristotle called catharsis. In the end, we walk away with what is in fact a comedy. It's upbeat. It's resolved. We're going to move into this wonderful neighborhood, and the future is bright. This is not how Clybourne Park leaves us. And so the raw emotions and the raw debate with which Clybourne Park leaves us, this drama of ideas, really leaves resolution to us. So it's no surprise that the kinds of debates and dialogues that we see in the New York Times and elsewhere about this play are there. We've got a white director who is writing a provocative piece about race and asking questions about where we are in the early part of the 21st century in America as it pertains to race.